Welcome back to the What Would You Do series.
So my client brought in this inspiration photo, but this is the level that we're starting at. So the way that my brain works is that I'm always going to try to find the quickest way to get there with the best results. So firstly, I'm going to cut off. She wanted her hair a little bit shorter than the way that Hailey Bieber's hair is in this picture. So the first thing I did was chop off a bunch of it just loosely. I go back in later and finish that, but I got to get rid of some of that length. So just going to quickly get rid of some of that length, well, a lot of that length, so that it's like kind of at her shoulders. And I want you to look at the picture of Hailey Bieber that she brought in as her inspiration picture. So this is going to be a really simple technique that I don't want you to overthink. All of the ends are bright, the top is dark, so we'll go in and smudge later. And there's going to be varying levels of backcombing throughout. And that's going to kind of create that diffusion and that dimension through the mids that you see. So up the back, we can go really simple here and just take large sections and back comb. Do not overthink this. Going up the back, you can just be very, like I said, you can take much larger sections up the back and cycle your lightener. We don't need a ton of lift here, but we need about 5 levels. So my sections can be thicker, and I'm going to start, I always use a high lift bleach. So you want to use something that's like 9+ levels of lift. Otherwise, when you take big sections like this, you're not going to get the lift that you need. But when you focus on that and you focus on saturation, you're good to go. So I use my Foilyage Power Painter to really pack the lightener on. And yeah, you just want to make sure that you're saturating really well. So I always saturate the underneath side and I saturate the overside. Again, we're focusing here on getting all of those ends bright. Another way that you could do this, if you don't want to do this technique, is to kind of go in and do some like smaller zigzag sections and then go in between and tip out the ends. But I'm just doing it like this. There's a million ways to get to any given result. And for me, this was the easiest way. So I'm backcombing using my pink pewter Never Let Go comb. It's my favorite comb for backcombing that I've used thus far. And you could see I'm just taking like thick sections, backcombing, packing the lightener on the back, and then going in and packing the lightener on the front side of the section too. Saturation, keep it consistent throughout. You don't have to follow this exact pattern, so I don't want to get you too caught up in this. But again, up the back, you can be pretty loose about your sectioning, and then you really want to focus more and do a little bit more detailed work in the crown area, the mohawk area, up the sides, because that's really where you're going to make that impact. And then, of course, you need to do a mani piece with this one. So you can see that I sort of feather my lightener, but not really. Like the saturation stays consistent, even though I am kind of feathering it up a little bit. Like, hold on a second, let's see. Okay, so back home, coat the underneath with the lightener, pop the foil underneath, and I use my hand underneath the foil as kind of like a base for my canvas. But you can see that like I do move the lightener up a little bit, but I don't actually feather, because then you're going to get a warm transition area, and I don't really want that. Like, you guys, I'm literally just like, I'm messing around back here. Like, none of this, it doesn't have to make that much sense. I'm just having a good time. I'm here for a good time. So take this all with a grain of salt. The point I'm trying to make is, like, really don't overthink this. Because as long as your ends are bright, you're not going to mess up the back sections. You're just not. And then I am going to color her roots later. But not because she needs a smudge, just because she needs gray coverage. And I'm not even going to, like, try to mess around with the back combing and the gray coverage. I've done it before, but it just feels like since I use 10-minute color, that doing it with the toner just makes more sense than like struggling to put it on. But if I didn't use 10-minute color, I probably would have just like done my best to apply it in between. And if you're wondering what that panting noise is, I just have a newborn laying on my chest right now, so that is what you're hearing. I was just kind of like feeding her while I was doing this, but we do what we have to do. So moving on to those side sections, I'm going up in diagonals. I feel like that's the perfect thing to do here, because it's going to give you like an automatic kind of blend, but it's the perfect level. It's the perfect in between of dimension and coverage. And I'm going to vary how thin my sections are and how high up I'm going with my back comb. There is like really no right or wrong here as long as you're varying. Does that make sense? Like as long as you're not all one freaking, you're not going up to the same level with all of them. You're just kind of like, because you want them to be different. You just want them all to be different. Otherwise, you're not going to get that effect that Hailey has here. So I'm doing some weaves, some chunky weaves. Most important thing, all of the ends need to be lightened. So if you see pieces left out, I will be going back in and backcombing those as well and lightening them. Now, at this point, you're going to want, well, when you get up to the side, you're going to want to kind of like transition your lightener into a higher volume. So let's say you start the back with like 9 volume or 12 volume. Now you're going to move up to 20. And then when you get to the last section, you're going to move up to 25. That is going to keep everything lifting consistently. And it's a huge part of these time-saving techniques to cycle your lightener. Low volume in the back, but heavy saturation, you're going to get good lift because think about the amount of heat conduction that you're getting back there. It's a lot. So saturation is key as always. Going up on diagonals, I'm doing some zigzags, I'm doing some chunky weaves, I'm doing some slices, and you know, all is fine and good. Also keep in mind, you're going to want to leave out in the front there, you're going to want to leave out, oh, wait, hold on. So these are those in-between hairs that I didn't take yet. So now I'm going in and I'm just going to back comb them together. Loosely, again, no big deal, don't overthink it. I'm going to saturate the heck out of it. So that we're making sure that all of those ends are nice and bright. And having them at varying levels, having your back combs at varying levels is going to allow you to get that look where you've got all that dimension throughout the mids and the brightness on the ends. And then the top's just going to be dark. And honestly, like we hit the nail on the head with this one. It came out just like the picture, really. So she was excited. And again, you can pay attention to the sectioning I'm doing. See, I left out those pieces in the front so that we can make that like very thin money piece. But it's not like I even did the exact same thing on both sides. Like I didn't. I'm just not like that. And, you know, you don't really need to be. I feel like people stress you guys out for no reason. Stress themselves out for no reason. It is all good. So pay attention to what I'm doing, but don't get so caught up in it. Because that is not the idea that I'm teaching here. Dogs, babies, cats, we have it all here. It's probably the mailman. My dog really does not like the mailman. To write him a holiday card and just like apologize for the behavior. And I know you're going to ask me what lightener that I'm using. I'm using the King Bleach. I actually like always mess it up. Is it the King's Bleach? Is it the King Bleach? I can only find it from one distributor here. So it's like 12 levels of lift, but it treats the hair really nicely. I know that it's made in Italy. And that's about all I know. They don't really have like a social media presence or anything like that. But some other ones that I love are Blonde Me. That's like tried and true. I mean, I would say that those two are my top contenders as it stands. So diagonals all the way up to the top of the part. This section, you know, I tried to, this is the one part where you really want to try to keep it consistent with the other side. So just keep that in mind. Otherwise, it's probably not going to look the best. And we want it to look the best. And also just pay attention to what I'm doing with my brush because you can see the shape that I'm creating with my lightener. It's not just like I'm slapping it on there. I'm not. And we're going to go ahead and deal with the other parts later. Oh my God, this baby on my chest. She's so cute. It's my daughter, but I'm just having a moment with her. Now we're going to create a thin little money piece up in the front. So I just took a tiny zigzag and backcombed it. I'm like annoyed with the way that I'm standing in front of the hair. And then I took one and, okay, so like the money piece is really thin, so you don't want to like keep going up. So wait, what am I trying to say? You don't want to do like 3 that go close to the scalp like we would for some other money pieces. So just like that one that goes all the way up is good, and then the other 2 can just kind of be like, you could be more loosey-goosey about, go down a little bit lower, back comb more. And that's freaking it. Now, let's talk about the toner. So I go in at her roots. Now I'm just checking everything, making sure it's lifting good, and it is. Now look at how it lifted. So it's perfect. I'm going in with her natural base color. I think I actually used a 5 here because Hailey's was a little bit on the darker side. So I did like just a 500 with 12 volume, which is going to be like a cream-based demi. Processes in 10 minutes. And then as far as the toner goes, but I'm not like pulling it down or like melting it in or anything like that. I'm just kind of like loosely painting it on there. And as far as the toner goes, I am going to do an 871. So it's kind of like, and I added a little bit of gold to it as well because it's just very golden. So I also mixed it with 8.3, which is 8 gold. And then 7.1 is like a kind of like a matte color. But we definitely did half and half with the, so basically it's like half 8 gold and half 8 kind of ash, but not all ash. It's not just like 8.1, 8.7.1. 7 is like, it's just brown. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know, but it's a really nice like matte color. I guess kind of like almost a neutral. And then I'm just combing it through, and that's it. And that process is for 10 minutes. And it came out perfect. Then I finished her cut, obviously, but I don't teach the cutting classes because I'm just like not that good at cutting hair. Oh my God, I can't say that. Yes, I can. No, I'm okay. I'm okay. It's just like I don't really feel like I'm the authority to be teaching the classes on it. I'm more of like a color person and mindset person. But look at it. It's so perfect. Like she was so excited, over the moon. We kind of nailed it. So